So what does it mean to work even, or work all stitches as they appear? That is going to be the topic of this video, and once you're able to do this, it's going to help you knit so much faster because you will not have to look back at your instructions. Working even is all about understanding the stitches that are in front of you and what they are so that you can work them. And I'm going to show you on this example of some stockinette that I have here. So we need to be able to recognize what the stitch is on the needle, these stitches right here, in order to work them even, which basically means knit the stitches, like knit a knit stitch if it's a knit stitch, and purl a purl stitch. So what is this? Now the hallmark of a knit stitch is that it comes over the top and plunges down into the next stitch with nothing obstructing it. I like to think of it like a V-neck on a sweater. And if you look down here, you can see a series of V's like that. But the ones that we're most concerned about are right here. And if the stitch comes down unobstructed down into the middle of the next stitch, it's a knit stitch. And you can see that these are all knit stitches. So let's go ahead and knit them. We're going to be working all stitches as they appear. Having purled all the way across this row, let's take a look at the other side and see what we have. Now examining these stitches, you can see that they come straight down into the stitches below like a V-neck, which means that they're a knit stitch, which makes sense because we just purled them on this side. So this side is a knit stitch. And see how this is curling a little bit, this stockinette? I will give you a neat little piece of trivia. Knit stitches are actually a little tiny bit shorter on the front here than purl stitches are. So you can see it causes stockinette to do that little curling thing. But that is besides the point. So now let's practice when we have knit and purl stitches in the same row. Now here is a good test for you, because we've got different kinds of stitches all in the same row, and this is probably what it's going to look like when your pattern says, you know, row 2, work all stitches as they appear. So let's practice doing that. Looking at this first one, it can always be tricky here, but as long as we don't see that big bump, we know it's a knit stitch. So we're going to go ahead and knit it. Oops. There we go. Alright, let's look at the next stitch. And I see two actually with those bumps right there. Those are purl stitches, so move your yarn to the front, and we're going to go ahead and purl those. Alright, and to be fair to the American knitters, I'm going to go ahead and switch hands for you so you don't get confused. Alright, what do we have here? Remember, we're just looking right here, not down here at all. So right here, there's no bump. This stitch comes over the needle and plunges down into the next stitch. So it's a knit stitch. Our yarn's behind, so let's go ahead and knit that. And looking at the next one, same thing, all the way down. So that's a knit stitch as well. Alright, what do we have here? Comes over the needle and straight into a bump like that. And see how I'm sort of holding the work and pulling down so I can see in there? Go ahead and do that if you need to. Let's move our yarn to the front because it's a purl stitch, and go ahead and purl both of those stitches. There we go. Now let's pretend that we get it wrong. How will we know, right? Well, let's say I'm not paying attention and I continue to purl. Now this to me looks like a knit stitch, right? It goes straight down, but let's go ahead and purl it, and we're going to see the problem. Alright, looking closely now. See how these look the same? How it goes bump, bump, bump like that on our purls, and then all of a sudden we have this mess right here where it goes bump, bump, V-neck, and then we put a bump on top of it. So what you want to see is the same kind of stitch stacked on top of itself. This all looks good, right? We've got V, 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 bump, bump, bump like that. And then here we have a big mess. So it's easily fixed. Just come in from the front to the back with the left needle, pull that right needle out, and tug that stitch, and you can do it again correctly. So let's make sure to knit that stitch this time. Okay, that's a knit stitch right there. Let's knit that. And we've got two bumps, so the last two are purl stitches. And that is pretty much all you need to know in order to be able to work even.